Hello and good morning. Today is Saturday, and today is my day to teach Bible study. I'm very excited about it. Somehow or another, I drew Saturdays, and I'm the one who assigned them, so I ended up getting a Saturday. So I told Stephanie this morning, I said, I've got to get out on the back porch and shoot a Bible study video because it's Saturday, and I've not shot the Saturday one yet. So here I am on the back porch, and we are in Luke chapter 6. Let me talk to you for just a second. Today is a magnificent day. It is beautiful outside. If you've not had a chance to get outside yet this morning, grab you a cup of coffee and head to the back porch or front porch, your front yard somewhere. It is a glorious, glorious day. The sun is shining. It's a nice and warm morning already. It's supposed to be in the 80s today, which means spring and summer are in full swing. In our yard, in the side yard beside us, there's a horse pasture that kind of L shapes behind our house, and I would turn the camera around and let you see them, but the sun is so bright it would blind out the camera. But in the side yard, in the yard behind us, there are I want to say a million. I'm not going to try to exaggerate, but it looks like there's a million of these little tiny yellow flowers. I don't know what they are, but they are beautiful. So the entire side yard and behind our house is covered in this beautiful, beautiful yellow flower. And I'm just amazed at how beautiful it is out here this morning. Now, today's Bible study takes us back to Luke chapter 6. And the Bible says, how can you say to your brother, "Brother, let me remove the speck from your eye," when you do not see the plank in your own eye? First remove the plank from your eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. This is talking about working on ourselves. Over the last few weeks, over the last few sessions, we have been talking about on daily reflections and on Bible study. When I've been teaching on the Bible study, we've been talking out of Luke chapter 6, and Jesus is starting his Sermon on the Mount, and from Luke's point of view, and he begins to teach, he begins to talk about all of the different things that we need to do, and this is very early in the message. He's winding down here, and tonight on Daily Reflections, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this chapter, and then hopefully, if the Lord is willing, I'm going to preach Sunday on the bottom half of this as well. And so we see Jesus here, and he's saying, hey, listen, a student is not above his teacher. The student and his teacher are working together for the student to become the teacher. You know, the old Star Wars analogy there, the old Star Wars line is the student has now become the master. And that's what Jesus is saying. Jesus is saying that you've got to continue to work on yourself. You've got to continue to get better and better and better at this until the teacher is out of the way and the student has become the teacher. And so many times we forget to look at ourselves and work on ourselves. So here's what I'm going to talk to you about this morning. Examine yourself. I'm in the same boat you are. I have to look at myself. I have to check myself out. I have to see where my shortcomings are, to see where I excel, to see where I fall short, to see all of the different things that are going on in my life. I have to examine myself. I can't wait on somebody else to do it. I have to do it myself. And Jesus says, listen, take care of the two-by-four in your own eye before you worry about the speck of sawdust in somebody else's eye. So here's what I'm saying to you this morning. Jesus teaches us to look at ourselves and figure out what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are. I was in a pastoring class several years ago with a bunch of friends of mine, and the coach who was there, the coach who was the pastor, who was teaching us and everything, one of the first lessons he taught us was he gave us a piece of paper, and all it said was list your weaknesses. Not your strengths, list your weaknesses. And then he sent us off for an hour. And we went around the church to different places, and we sat down, we prayed, and we examined ourselves individually and had to bring back a list of our weaknesses. And that's tough. That's tough. Everybody is excited about their strengths. Everybody loves their strengths, and they love to spotlight their strengths and what they're good at and what areas they're strong in. But when you start talking about weaknesses, that's when it really gets personal. But Jesus teaches us this. He says, hey, you take care of the plank in your own eye and then worry about the speck in somebody else's eye. So what I did was I went to the corner over there and I sat down And I began to pray, and I began to look, and I began to examine, and I began to think, and I began to do some serious soul searching. And there are areas still to this day in which I am not strong, where I am weak. And I had to work on those. One of those was finding myself in a situation to where I could read on a consistent level. Now, this is 5 or 6 years ago. I had a problem with finding a place and finding a time and finding a situation to where I could just sit down and read a book of the Bible or several chapters of the Bible. And that was a weakness for me. And I really, really struggled with it. And I finally got to the point to where I can sit down and I can read 10, 12, 15 chapters of the Bible, whatever I need to do. But it took time. It took discipline. It took taking the plank out of my own eye. And before trying to get the speck out of somebody else's, I had to work on me. The first person after salvation, the first person that you need to start working on is you. Don't worry about that neighbor. Don't worry about that cousin. Don't worry about that guy that you went to school with yet. You can worry about them at a certain point, but take care of fixing yourself first. Take care of getting the plank out of your own eye before you worry about the speck in somebody else's eye. Now, I'm not condemning. I'm not preaching. I'm not harping on anything this morning. I'm just saying the first person we need to examine is ourselves, me included. There are still areas of ministry in which I feel like I fall short. There are still areas of ministry that I find people who are much stronger than me, who are gifted in those areas, and I put them in those positions so that that area of our church is strong and it is solid, and I don't have to come through there with my weak ideas and my weak mentality toward it and worry about it. I let somebody else handle that. My dad taught me several years ago to surround yourself with great people, and I've done my best to do that over the years. I remember surrounding myself with guys like Daniel Willoughby and Jeff Coleman and Aaron Slomovitz, Michelle Gordon. These were people who were strong in areas that I was not strong in, and they were fantastic at what they did, and they strengthened our ministry when we were in Rome. We've got Pastor Patrick Reed and Pastor Tim Warren here now, and they are strong at what they do. We had a few years ago, we had John Holborn, who's a magnificent musician, Desiree Trejo, who was an amazing children's pastor, and I've surrounded myself with people who are strong in areas that I'm not going to be able to work in areas that I'm not going to be able to be involved heavily in, and let them take the reins. And so that's what we do as pastors. We surround ourselves with good people, and you need to do that in your personal life as well. Surround yourself with people who are strong where you are weak. And of course, we always depend on the Lord. The Lord always picks us up. The Lord always lifts us up. The Lord always helps us when we are weak and when we are struggling in certain areas. And so Jesus tells them here, he says, take care of the plank in your own eye and then worry about the speck in somebody else's eye. So as I was reading this week in a couple of different books, examine yourself. All these books that I'm reading, they seem to be telling me the same thing. Examine yourself. Take a look at yourself. See where you're weak at and begin to fortify that situation. Begin to fortify that area. Begin to pray to the Lord and ask Him to help you and take care of the things that are messed up about you before you try to take care of somebody else. Because if you can't pray for yourself, then how in the world are you going to pray for somebody else? If you can't teach yourself, how are you going to teach somebody else? Jesus says that the teacher is greater than the student. The student's not greater than the teacher, but the teacher is greater than the student. And the student always strives to be the teacher. So you're getting there. I'm getting there. We're all getting to the point to where God can use us more and more and more. Just know that I'm praying for you this week. I love you. I'm praying that you will find what is going on in your situation, where your weaknesses are, and that you will begin to strengthen them through the power of the Lord. I love you. I'm praying for you. I'm looking for my mouse. Here it is. I love you. I'm praying for you. I'm hoping to see you very, very soon. Don't forget that on May the 10th, we will be reopening our church. It will be seating. It will be limited seating capacity, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later in these broadcasts. Just know that today is going to be a great day. I want you to get out and get some sunshine and enjoy the day. God bless you is my prayer.